going to be about flutes though this time. A lot of you, since I put up that one video almost a year ago, I have gotten responses about wanting to know my technique, learn my technique, and maybe I can give you some hints and show you how I do what I do. The crochet I do is tapestry crochet. Tapestry crochet is all single crochet, but you use multiple skeins of yarn all at the same time. This is the drum bag that I made last year that I put in the county fair in the open division here in Huntington County in Indiana. And I'm very pleased to announce that it did take Best of Show. I was quite pleased considering I have never entered anything, but a lot of people said that they thought I should. So this is the hawk that I did on the back of this drum case. This is a drum case for a handheld drum. The drum is in here. I'm not going to take it out or show it to you, but this is the case I made for it. The reason I'm showing you this bag is because I want to tell you how I did this hawk. And here come the Karns. I'm hoping we don't have much interference by that. We'll see. Tapestry crochet is done by doing rows and rows of single crochet. But every color is a skein of yarn. So you have all these skeins being used through the row in every row. For example, I'll demonstrate by up here where we only have 2 skeins of yarn. We have the yellow and the brown. Okay? When I started over here with the yellow and I came through this way, the yellow was being crocheted over this strand of brown yarn. The brown yarn is laid on top of the row I just finished. And then I crochet over it with the yellow until I get to this point here. And then when I get to that point here, I drop the yellow, I pick up the brown. The yellow is then laid on top of the row and I crochet the brown over it. As you can see, because of how many colors I get into on here, that some places I have a lot. So I think I had up to 7 different skeins of yarn that I was using at the same time. In other words, I was holding 6 down and crocheting over with the color that I wanted to show up. So that basically is what tapestry crochet is. Of course, this is not for a beginner. Beginners should use only 1, 2, or 3 skeins of yarn in a pattern. Not anymore. And a very simple pattern to start with till you learn the technique. So this is one that is very advanced. I'll show you what I started with when I thought of this. I went to the Johnny Appleseed Festival in Fort Wayne, and there was a young man who was doing these sketches on flour sacks. This is old-time flour sack is what it is, like this. So he had maybe 20 or 30 of these with all kinds of different animals on them. And I am very attracted to hawks, especially red-tails. And I love them very much. And it's hard to find red-tailed hawks in art. You look around, well, around here anyway, in Indiana, you just don't find very many. Eagles, yes. Hawks, no. So I was very drawn to this. And the first thing I thought looking at this is that I would love to make a crochet pattern out of this and use it. So when I got this drum and I wanted to make a bag, this was the first thing I thought about. So you cannot see it from there, but I can. I tried to erase it off. It didn't come off too well. I don't know if I can wash this bag or not, so it's going to have to be left the way it is. But there are light. I'll get up a little closer. Maybe you can see it. I don't know if you can see the pencil marks on there where I drew with the yardstick, with the ruler, lines that are 1-inch squares. This way, around, and then lines this way and this way. I do that because then I can draw what's just in the square on the graph paper, when I square it off on the graph paper. This is my pattern that I made up. And the thing is that this is 1/4 inch graph paper. Again, I made the squares like I did on here, only a lot darker. And then each square corresponds to the squares on here, and I was able to redraw the hawk and the branch that he's sitting on here. So you can see it like that. So that's how I made my pattern. Okay? The thing is, as you can see, just wait a minute here. Set this aside. This hawk here is much bigger than my design. Okay? So what I did, I use a D hook, which is very small. The thing is, when I'm making this much detail, I cannot have the colors bleeding through. That is, the ones that I am crocheting over, the ones that are underneath, I don't want that yarn to show. So my stitching has to be tight and close knit, almost like being woven. It's very similar to doing weaving. So with a D hook, I get 7 stitches to 1 inch, and I get 5 to 6 rows to 1 inch. Okay? That's for the actual size. For this pattern, I did 9 stitches to 1 inch and 7 rows to 1 inch so that I could enlarge the pattern. I hope you follow that. Okay, now the other thing is, when you're using a lot of yarn, your thickness of your rows can vary. There will be some times in here that I might have used 7 rows to 1 inch, and there might be some places when I had 6 or 7 pieces of yarn I'm crocheting over that I might only have 6 rows, where the narrow ones I would have 7. You have to keep track of your rows and the thickness when you change how much yarn you are working with in a pattern. So that's how this was made. And I want to show you some other things that I use for patterns. These are a couple books that I have found. I like to do American Indian patterns, so you can find your patterns probably in other things. This is an Indian beadwork book that I picked up for a very small price at a store that I know, and it's filled with patterns to do Indian designs. Here, I'll put that down for right now. They're all squared off, and they show the colors corresponding. I don't always use the colors that they call for. Use your imagination when you get patterns like this. Try different colors. You'll be surprised at what kind of effect you can get. But this is one of my books that I use for finding my patterns and using. A good example of that. Let's see if I can find it in here. I have a bag down here I want to show you where I use this pattern here. Looks like wings with a V in the middle. I don't know if you can see that, but that's where it is. This is the way it came out. It came out like this. So that will show you how the pattern came out. I used different colors. Now, to show you the difference and how it will come out, I stitched this around this way. I put my pattern down sideways. So my rows go this way, and my stitches go this way. Stitches are longer and they are wider, so it won't come out square for square exactly like it is in a pattern that's up off into squares. To show you the difference, this is how this gold and green here, see how it came out nice and wide and not too up and down. It's wider than this. This is the same pattern, but it's going the opposite way. Here, the rows go this way. Okay? Yeah, I'm crocheting row, 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 row. Okay. Across, down. Here, they're going across, row, 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 row. So you can see how much narrower and taller this is compared to this. And yet it's the same pattern. So that's the difference it can make. Now, I ran into a problem with that with another book. Another book I like to use is my, this one I found is a cross-stitch book. And we'll wait for the car to go by. Okay. And it's kind of the same way that the American Indian book is. And I used, this has an alphabet in it with animals and pictures on it. Like this. And I used the animals to make a bag. This is the pattern I used for my eagle that I used on the bag and I'm working on now. So bear with me. I'll get that bag out. It's still being made. And we got another car coming by. Okay. I expected that eagle to be only 6 inches long, but because the stitches are so thin, they're not very wide and they're long, I ended up with my pattern coming out 9 inches long. So this is what happened. This eagle right here, okay? I meant it to be a much smaller bag. I meant this to be one panel about 5 by 6 for a small bag I was making, and I ended up with 9 by 6. Like that. So then I had a problem. And I swear we're getting interrupted by everything. There is a dual prop plane going over right now. Okay, he's not too like. I hope you can hear me all right. So I have used this kind of design before a lot, so I didn't need to have a pattern to make it up. This is done this way. Rows this way, okay? So I turned it sideways like this, and I crocheted this way to add this pattern to it. As you can see, I used the same red in here, reddish brown, that's in the eagle. It's going to be kind of hard to do this there, so you can see that. And I used the colors of the 7 directions. The colors of the 7 directions are the colors of man, which are black, red, yellow, and white. White is north, yellow is east, red is south, and black is west. Not all tribes have it this way. Some have different colors, and they have the colors in different locations and different reasons for it. But this is how I taught myself. Blue is up for the universe. Green is down for the Earth Mother, Mother Earth. And purple, which you find here and what I've used in the side, is for spirit or soul. In, which you find in yourself. So that is the 7 colors of the 7 directions. So this is going to be a much larger bag than what I planned. The eagle is going to be the front flap. So I used the green and the blue, and I crocheted up this way. So when I got around to the horse, which I'm going to have will end up on the back, I had to start from the top down so it ends up the proper direction. Okay? Next, I added the sides and the bottom of the bag, which is the purple here. Go all the way around. You can notice that I make corners so that it'll stick up straight like this. The way you do that is this is single crochet, again, with the tapestry technique. And when I get to the corners, when I come around and I got to the corners, starting here, and I got to this corner, I did not add any extra stitches in there. When I got there and I ended up without stitches, I immediately started stitching the next row here. No extras in the corner. And I went around and I did the same here. And then when I turned it and I kept going back and forth, I did not add any stitches. This makes for making a box-like effect, like this, so it's straight up. So I have a bottom and I got sides. Okay? When I first started doing this, I would make the bottom separate and put it on, and then I was doing the sides and I would go up like this and then I'd stitch it all together. This way there's less stitching. It also depends on what you want your pattern to look like. So that is the reason why I do it that way. So after I got that done, I had to make the front panel for the purse, because this will be the flap for the front. You open it up and you'll see the wolf. So I will add the same borders here. Okay, I'm almost done with the wolf. I got to get it up to the proper length. So that will be the front. This will be the front flap. And that will be the back. Like that. So that's how that will be. Okay. So now you know my secrets. The horse, by the way, was my own creation. I freehand drew that and put it on graph paper just like I did everything else. The wolf, again, came out of my American, my cross stitch book, my Indian cross stitch book. Right there is the wolf, if you can see that. It's right there. Okay, so that's how I did the projects. Now, in about an hour, I'm going to be going back into town. I had a lady ask me the other day, with a big smile, ask me, are you going to be entering anything in the county fair this year? Well, I really hadn't thought about it, and I didn't do a specific project for the fair, so I had to look at what I had done over the year and choose something that I had made. So this is a medicine bag that I made that I put on a belt that moves. So the bag is done separate from the belt. And again, I use the 7 directions colors. This is getting ridiculous. Here's a close-up of the bag. And there's the front panel. And that's what I put on the back. And it's just a little bag where a medicine bag is made for an Indian to put special sacred items in, things that are important to him.